All right, today guys, we're going to talk about wrist wraps. I made a quick tip post on my Instagram, which brought more questions in, so I figured I would just do a full video on wrist wraps, the difference, the most optimal way to use the thumb loop, the difference between the regular thumb loop and a belt strap thumb loop, and we'll just kind of jump in and go from there. The way to wrap, I'm going to talk about a bench press first because that's predominantly what most people are using wraps for. The thumb loop, it's not optimal to stick your thumb through the loop because essentially what's going to happen is you're going to get wrapped and then your thumb's going to get stuck. It's going to be a pain in the ass to get it out. Plus, in my opinion, that's not exactly what it was intended for in the first place. When I first started powerlifting, wrist wraps really didn't exist. We just cut knee wraps in half. What I found the thumb loop to be best for is it allows you to anchor an angle on the wrist wrap. So if I grab the thumb loop and hold it, then that first wrap going down around my wrist is at an angle. And it's also on the top of my hand, which is still legal. All right, so when it's on the top of my hand and I can wrap through, I'm able to get a more casted type of wrap. And then I just let go and then pull down, and that's a legal wrap. And there is no way for my wrist to go backwards at all. Where people tend to make a mistake when wrapping for the bench is they do basically the way that you should wrap for a deadlift, is they'll start and keep most of the wrap here, which that kind of defeats the purpose, which leads me into the difference between the thumb loop and a belt strap. A belt strap loop is more of a multi-purpose loop where you feed the wrap through and then you pull from that. Now see, from this, it gives you a nice training type wrap, but once again, you're left in that position where you don't have that angle going across the top of your fist. There's no way you can do that with a belt strap loop, where I can try, to hold it and then get that angle, but there's no way to hold it. So actually we're discontinuing the belt loop wrap because the only thing it's really good for is training with a light wrap. Plus you can do exactly the same thing by using the thumb loop on any of the normal wraps. So that becomes a multi-purpose wrap. Then, yeah, and if you want to move it up, then it can become a compression cuff wrap. It becomes a multi-purpose wrap the same way the other one is. So the thumb loop, while called a thumb loop, the most optimal use of it is to make the wrap a multi-use wrap as you would with a belt strap wrap, but really to be able to allow the angle of the first pull to be able to set the wrist. And these are our normal wraps. So you can see the Velcro is good with our wraps. We take pride in that to allow the wrist from coming back. Now, if you are wrapping for a squat, some people will want their wrist straight, some will actually want to allow their wrist to come back a little bit. That's just a matter of where you're going to hold the loop at. So if you want the wrist to come back a little bit more, you're going to hold the loop higher, which is going to allow you to start lower so it's not so casted. So that way when you squat, you have a little bit of freedom for the bar to come back. So to demonstrate the bench again, because I do get asked a lot about it, you're going to hold a little bit tighter on it, start the angle, make the first round tight. This is our lightest wrap, so I can get a lot of turns out of it. And then let go. And then that way there's no way for this bar to handcuff or to come back in any way whatsoever. For a wrap to be used for a deadlift, open your hand now. I want you to grab your hand and make a fist as hard as you possibly can and push all your weight into me while keeping that fist. So the first wrap around is just to kind of seat it, and then each wrap from there is as tight as you possibly can. I'm going about half tight because again, we want to keep it close, as close to the body as we possibly can. And then now if you try to open your hand, it should be a little bit hard to open your hand because your wrap is kind of holding it. That helps to keep the deadlift grip better, but you don't want to have this wrap sticking out so much that that's the reason why you missed the deadlift, or this is the reason why you missed the deadlift. So you make the fist to be able to wrap with a closed fist because it makes it harder for them to open the fist, and you wrap as tight as you can in a little bit of layers to keep that bundle away from the thigh so the bundle doesn't get caught on your leg. Anything that gets caught on your leg is just another thing that can knock the bar out of your hand.